Howdy folks, welcome to the brewery, Brew Day, and today I'm doing a clone of the Bentspoke Crankshaft IPA. That's it, the #1 ranking craft beer in the country. I know a few people have been keen for this one. I've been sort of waiting a little bit. I've been waiting to do the sprocket from Bentspoke, and the crankshaft come along, and given it's still, yeah, we're at the end of winter, I've got autumn to get through and early summer. Let's go for just a nice solid IPA and leave the sprocket for a little bit later on so we can get it going for summer. Sat down, tried to find a recipe. There's a few about, there's not a lot. There are a couple, and there was two I sort of come across which seemed to be getting sort of more of the chat, and makes sense because there wasn't many others really to choose from that you could sort of find. So on Brewzilla, the recipe is actually called, I've got to find it because I've not bloody got it. It's on Brewzilla. It's just called Bentspoke Crankshaft Clone. It's by Pig Den Brewing. Now, top of my head, I can't think who Pig Den is. I do know I've seen the name, and I've seen the references on forums and stuff. So, mate, if you happen to be watching, maybe drop a comment down the bottom, let us know. But this is his clone recipe from Brewzilla. I was tossed up between this and I think it's the camshaft recipe by Hoppy Days Brewing. But looking at both, for me this seemed to look just a little bit closer given the information that I've got from the brewery itself, which is their beer menu and things like that. Pig Den has actually noted here that he's made some changes to a recipe that was provided by someone called Code Monkey. He's just played around with the hop additions and the timing of the hops. He's kept the grain bill pretty much the same. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're knocking it up on the Robo Brew today. I'm doing a 14 litre batch. So that'll get me a nice 9.5 litre keg and a couple of bottles. Yeah, for sharing with people who get lucky enough. So I've got water in the Robo Brew. At the moment, 20 litres has gone in there. I will be sparging with a further just over 5 litres, about 5.1 litres is the sparge. That's the total volume, which, like I said, it's going to should get me 14 litres. I'm shooting for a starting gravity of, I've got to get back to the to today's brew. I'm shooting for a starting gravity of 1056 to get me to 5.8% of the brew. The numbers on this brew very much, as far as I can find, replicate the crankshaft, the commercial version. So hopefully we'll get there. I think due to my system, the original gravity was probably snuck up a little bit to allow for a lower attenuation on the yeast I'm using, or expecting to get a lower attenuation than what that first recipe allows for. I'll put the link to Brewzilla for the recipe for the original down the bottom, as well as to my version. I've adjusted to allow for my efficiency, my system, my hop alpha acids and all the rest of it. I've adjusted water chemistry as well based on my own system. So maybe look between the two of them to get what you're going for. So we've got some grain going on. First lot of grain we've got is some Voyager Atlas, 85.4%. Some Voyager Munich, 12.1%, and some Simpson's Medium Crystal at 2.5%. That's what's going in. Any numbers I'm quoting are my version of the recipe. Again, check them out. And I said they're going on 64 degree mash. Rightio. We have got mash water heated to mash temp, or just above. Running for 64. Throwing some rice hulls. Yay. And we'll start mashing in. I've got 20 litres of mash water in here. And that'll leave me about just over 5 litres to sparge with. Make sure we've got no dough balls in here. Alright. Let that sit now for about 10 minutes. And we'll come back and get the recirc happening. 60 minutes on the mash. We'll raise it to 75 degrees after the 60 minutes and then run 10 minutes at 75 and then we'll get into a sparge. Righto. 10 minutes in, we'll get this pump going. Just make sure I've got nothing weird in the lines. I've been known to have the knee wig or two hiding up the bloody spout. That looks good. Let's get that on nice and slow. That'll do me nicely. And that's going to run for another 50 minutes. Righto, that's mash complete. No, I don't want to turn that off. I do want to turn the pump off though. Them out of the way. So it's time to sparge. That's running pretty freely. More, let's go and we'll get this up to coming up to a boil. Alright, we'll let this run. We'll get a pre-boil volume and gravity reading. Okay, pre-boil volume is a fraction under 20, oh, it's about 21 litres. It's telling me here 23 is the boil volume. That's not good. But that being said, geez, normally 2 litres out of whack. That might be some volume I can gain back at the end. Target pre-boil gravity is 1045. It's refract's giving me 1047. We're up a little bit. I don't think we're going to make up 2 litres and keep the gravity in the right place. At the stairs at the moment, we're in the ballpark. I'm happy enough with that at the moment, so we'll see how the numbers all go once the boil's all over. We're not far off a boil at the moment, so it's nearly time to start dropping some hops in. I walked away to clean the malt pipe. Would be back before hot break kicked in. Didn't quite make it. We've got a little bit of overflow. Hey, all good. Well, we're at a boil. 30 minutes till first hops. It's almost beer time. We're going to boil for 60 minutes, but our first hop addition is for 30. I hadn't looked close enough at that when I was adjusting my own recipe, and had I realised before I actually got going, I would have cut that back to a 30-minute boil just to save a little bit of time. But I feel like I've got to run with it now because I've allowed for the volumes to lose lose the 4 litres over the hour. So if I pull it back now, I'm going to be over volume. So we're running with that. So up yourself how you want to do it. You could run with it, yeah, a 30-minute boil, because that's our first edition. If you wanted to, probably entirely up to yourself, really. So in 30 minutes, we'll start the boil. We will add in 4 grams of Centennial for about 7 IBUs. Righto, we're most of the way through the boil. 30-minute hops are in. It's 15 minutes to go, so that's wall clock and nutrient time. And that means it's time to get the Whirlpool in here and ready to chill for the Whirlpool. With 5 minutes left, I'm going to drop in 13 grams of Simcoe, 11 grams of Equinaut, and 8 grams of Tthere. Alright, 5 minutes to go. Chiller is in. More hops in. Hops. Good stuff, hops. Beautiful. We'll shut the boil off and cool to 75 degrees. And then we will do a 30-minute hop stand. which will be 12 grams of Equinaut, 11 grams of Simcoe, 9 grams of Tthere, and 5 grams of Centennial. Okay, Whirlpool is finished, cooling's back on, so I'm going to pull the hops and get them out of here. Recipe doesn't say whether to leave them in, take them out, what to do. The reality is they shouldn't impart any more bitterness or create any more IBU, because the temperature's now getting low utilisation zone. But I don't know, for me it just seems the longer you leave them in there, the more time they've got to add something to the brew. They've done what they need to do, so I'm taking them out. I've just done a refrac just before the end of Whirlpool time. We are bang on gravity according to the refractometer, and our volume is ballpark as well. So at the moment things are looking good. It's a long hop stand. Well, that's how it should be. That's what the recipe says. So that's what we'll be doing. And once that hop stand's finished, we'll run through cool and get him into the fermenter. I'm looking for 1056 starting gravity. I had about that, about 2/3 of the way through the mash, so I'm looking pretty good. I think by the time we sparge with this 5 litres, we're looking for pre-boiled gravity of 1045. I don't think we have much trouble getting that. Should certainly be around the mark, that's for sure. So, but we'll have a look at that after a bit later on. Okay, Whirlpool is finished. Cooling's back on, so I'm going to pull the hops and get them out of here. Recipe doesn't say whether to leave them in, take them out, what to do. The reality is they shouldn't impart any more bitterness or create any more IBU, because the temperature's now getting low utilisation zone. But I don't know, for me it just seems the longer you leave them in there, the more time they've got to add something to the brew. They've done what they need to do, so I'm taking them out. I've just done a refrac just before the end of Whirlpool time. We are bang on gravity according to the refractometer, and our volume is ballpark as well. So at the moment things are looking good. Okay, transfer is underway. We've settled, took off a little bit of crud off before I've gone into the fermenter. Probably about, oh no, maybe a couple or so, 300 mils. Wasn't a real lot. She's pouring nice and clear now, so I'm pretty confident we're going to get our volume. So we'll pop over to the table and we'll have a look and see what we've actually got. Rightio. We've got our sample there. She's looking good. Sort of the colour one we'll be expecting for this beer. Now we got 14 litres into the fermenter. It was transferring bloody beautiful and clear, and the last sort of half a litre it started pulling crud through as it come through the false bottom. So that was a a tad disappointing, but that's not going to cause any problem. Maybe not a problem long term anyway. So we've got 14 litres, no problems. We've got target volume. Now, where do we go with gravity? And these, what the fuck is with hydrometers are never facing you. I'm going to call that, I'll call that 1055. We wanted 1050, we're aiming for 1056, we got pretty close. 1 point off. I'm happy enough with that. 62.28% brewhouse. I was aiming for 63, and that's a number. I'm happy with that number anyway. 63% on a 14 litre batch. I'm more than happy with that. It's hard to get any too high with that amount of percentage of losses. Nothing you can do about it. I could have got, reality is I probably could have pulled at least another litre and probably 2 litres out, which would give me a higher efficiency, but all good. Yeah, no worries at all. So, what does she taste like? What does she taste like? Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, good amount of hops there. Yep, no, happy with that. I think that's going to go really nice. Yeast, I'm using this fella, a starter of WLP 001, American West Coast ale yeast, very similar to US 05 essentially. 05 is the yeast in the recipe. I don't have any floating around. I've got some in the yeast bank, but the 001 was already going. So that's what we're pitching. Ferment will be done at 20 degrees for 14 days. With a dry hop, a 3-day dry hop, which will happen, I will probably dry hop around day 11 then. If that's a 14-day ferment, I'll dry hop at day 11 and then cold crash after the 3 days, ready to keg. So that's what we're looking at. That's where we are at the moment. We're done. Numbers are good, volumes are good. As it stands at the moment, I'm pretty happy with the recipe. So come back in about a month's time, a bit over a month, maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and we'll see how this one's turned out and have a taster, and have a final wrap up of whether this recipe does successfully clone the Bentspoke Crankshaft. But anyway, till then, comments and questions down the bottom. As always, thank you to all the supporters of the channel, the patrons, the subscribers. There's links down the bottom for all that sort of stuff. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. That's me. So until I see you again, when we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer, good brewing. Oh, could drink a few of them, I reckon.